Caitlin Clark just waved off Stephanie White on the Fever sideline, and it looked less like a normal coaching conversation and more like a star who had already decided she was not listening to another word. White kept talking. Clark turned away.
It was late in the Vegas game.
Yes. Indiana has been rolling as of late.
Situations like this that I believe Caitlin Clark is subliminally telling us she do not like Stephanie White. I don't give a damn what no one says.
And when White's shoulders dropped immediately afterward, the message looked even clearer. The coach did not like what Caitlin was about to do.
Outside look, Clark thought about it. Good closeout by Couir. 5 seconds. Clark driving, blocked by...
That moment right there, that was a moment. Now, if you guys really know Caitlin looking at the shot clock. Caitlin is looking at the shot clock, right? She bagged back because Stephanie White already know Caitlin Clark finna go to this inside lane right here. So there's an inside lane right here. Caitlin Clark is about to hit this lane. Stephanie White knows it. Boom.
This happened during a 91-85 loss to Dallas, a game that felt completely different from the 5-game winning streak Indiana had just built. The Fever had won 11 of their previous 14 games, but suddenly the offense looked slow, predictable, and disconnected. The ball kept moving toward Kelsey Mitchell, while Caitlin Clark, the player who makes the entire floor larger, was spending too much time away from the action. And this is where the real question begins. Was Stephanie White coaching the Fever to win, or was she forcing the team back into the same formula that already failed them before?
She compromised the team success for the individual success. And many people are saying that's what we saw yesterday.
Let's not pretend this was just a bad shooting night. Bad shooting happens. What fans saw was a system that seemed determined to make Caitlin Clark less important than she should be. No transition rhythm, no consistent movement. Too much dribbling, too much waiting. And when Clark finally appeared to reject the instruction from the sideline, the reaction from the coach made the moment impossible to ignore.
It's very odd when we consider, Caitlin Clark, we've given Caitlin Clark numerous off days. We've given Aaliyah Boston a few off days. But Kelsey Mitchell, the person who optically should probably be having the most amount of off days, has yet to have an off day.
Before we continue, subscribe if you want direct coverage of Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever without the usual excuses. Because when the team plays well, everyone wants credit. But when the offense becomes unwatchable and the star point guard visibly ignores the coach, somebody has to explain what went wrong. Now watch the first moment carefully. Stephanie White walks over and starts speaking to Caitlin. Clark listens for a few seconds, but she does not appear interested in letting the conversation continue. She turns away and walks toward the bench as if to say, "I heard you, but I'm not buying it." That is not the body language of a player who is completely comfortable with the plan. It looks like frustration, resistance, and a growing belief that the instruction is not helping the team. And this is Caitlin Clark we are talking about. She is not a player who needs somebody to explain where the next opening is. Clark sees the floor before the defense finishes rotating. She knows when to attack, when to pull defenders toward her, and when to turn one advantage into an open shot for somebody else. She has built her entire game around reading what is happening one step ahead. So when she cuts off the coach before the explanation is finished, the natural question is whether Caitlin believed she already knew where the offense was headed and did not like the destination. Now, why does White's posture change immediately afterward? Why does she drop her shoulders like the next action confirmed the exact concern she was trying to prevent? A shoulder drop is not a confession. Body language cannot prove sabotage. But there are telltale signs. White gives an instruction. Clark turns away. Clark gets the ball. White reacts as though the play has gone wrong before it is even finished. In a team already surrounded by questions about offensive priorities, that is enough to create a serious suspicion. Is White trying to control Clark, or is she trying to control the offense in a way that keeps Clark from becoming its center? And the recent results make that suspicion more difficult to dismiss. Indiana had found success when Clark was initiating the offense, pushing the tempo, creating advantages, and allowing the game to flow through multiple players. Then against Dallas, the formula appeared to change. The offense leaned heavily toward Mitchell's scoring, and Clark was asked to facilitate from the side instead of directing the action from the middle. And that might produce a large individual number for one player, but it can also make the Fever easier to guard. Kelsey Mitchell finished with 37 points, and nobody can pretend that is a small performance, but this is where the conversation gets uncomfortable. A 37-point night can look impressive in the box score while still being part of a losing offensive plan. If the team feeds one player repeatedly, keeps the scoring streak alive, and allows the defense to predict where the ball is going, then the number becomes a headline without becoming a win. The Fever did not need one player to collect points. They needed the entire offense to stay connected. And that is exactly why Clark fans were furious. They have watched Caitlin turn Indiana into a dangerous team by creating shots for everyone. She brings defenders toward her, she sees cutters, she changes angles, she makes difficult passes look routine. When the ball is in her hands, the defense has to make a choice, and every choice creates an opportunity for somebody else. But when Clark is sent away from the ball so another player can control every possession, the defense gets to relax. The most important offensive weapon becomes a decoy. That is not smart basketball, that is self-inflicted damage. Now listen to how the post-game explanation was framed. The discussion turned toward turnovers, defense, finishing plays, second chance points, and the opponent wanting the game more. Fine. Those are real areas that Indiana needed to improve, but the explanation becomes suspicious when the blame is allowed to drift toward Caitlin without matching the numbers. Clark reportedly had 3 turnovers, the team had 9. So if somebody wants to make Caitlin the problem, they need to explain why 3 turnovers suddenly represent the entire loss, while the other 6 disappear from the conversation. Stop right there. 3 turnovers are not perfect, but 3 turnovers are also not evidence that Clark single-handedly destroyed the game. That is selective accountability. The same system that moves the ball away from Clark can make the offense less fluid. Then the post-game explanation focuses on mistakes instead of asking why the best creator was not consistently put in position to control the game. If White wants accountability, start with the offensive design. Start with the decision to make Clark run around screens while another player holds the ball. And then there is the Kelsey Mitchell streak. If the game plan was built around getting Mitchell her points, that may explain why the offense looks so different, but it does not justify the decision. Indiana did not need to sacrifice the team's identity to protect an individual milestone. The Fever needed to win the game. There is a difference between supporting a hot score and turning the entire offense into a personal scoreboard. When Clark is the one creating the advantages, Mitchell can score within the flow. When the flow disappears, everyone becomes dependent on the same shot maker. The reference evidence does not prove that Stephanie White secretly wants Caitlin Clark to fail. That would be an allegation, not a fact. But it does show a visible conflict between what the team appears to need and what the offense sometimes chooses to do. Clark needs the ball to create. White appears to want structure. Those two things should not be enemies. A good system gives structure to Clark's creativity. A bad system uses structure as an excuse to remove the creativity that makes the team special. That is why this footage feels like a rebellion. Caitlin is not rebelling against effort. She is not refusing to compete. She is not trying to sabotage her own team. She appears to be pushing back against an offensive identity that asks her to become smaller. And frankly, she has earned the right to question it. The Fever did not become nationally important because Clark was standing in the corner, waiting for somebody else to decide the game. They became dangerous because she could decide the game herself, or create the decision for the teammate standing next to her. So, what did Caitlin Clark's wave actually mean? Was she disrespecting Stephanie White? Was she simply frustrated by another possession moving away from her control? Or was that the clearest nonverbal warning yet that the Fever cannot keep asking their best player to watch the offense instead of lead it? White can explain the game however she wants. The footage still shows the sequence: instruction, resistance, wave off, ball in Clark's hands, and a coach reacting like the plan has just slipped away. And if Indiana wants to win when the games matter most, the solution is not complicated. Put the ball in Caitlin Clark's hands, let her read the defense. Let Mitchell benefit from the attention Clark creates instead of forcing Mitchell to create everything alone. Let the system serve the star who makes everybody else better. Because if White continues confusing control with leadership, the Fever may keep their individual numbers while losing the identity that made them dangerous in the first place. Caitlin Clark did not need to shout to make her frustration visible. She waved once, turned away, and let the next possession speak for her. Maybe that was just a moment, or maybe it was the moment she stopped pretending that every decision coming from the sideline deserved automatic agreement. So tell me what you think. Was Caitlin Clark rebelling against Stephanie White, or was she exposing a coaching system that keeps getting in its own way? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more direct Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever coverage.